Hey y'all! Today I'm going to show you how to make a St. Louis classic, an Ooey Gooey butter cake. But I am going to put my own southern twist on it. I'm going to do a butter pecan version. This cake is characterized by a buttery crust as well as a ooey gooey topping and a golden brown crust on the top. It's sweet, it's delicious, it has 500,000 calories, it's gonna give you hips, okay? Y'all, this cake is so good and so easy to make. I'm doing butter pecan, but you can actually do any flavor that you want. I'm going to start off by preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and I am going to be using a 9 by 13 cake pan for this. To make this easy on me, just so this comes out quick, I am going to use some parchment paper. Now you can technically just, force and crumple the parchment paper all up in there, but I prefer to get it to stick in the corners a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the sides up against the pan, and you're going to see a rectangular shape form. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? You just need to make sure it is crisp, because once I do that, I can go in with some scissors and clip on the lines, and I'm going to cut out the rectangle or square that is in the corner. That is going to help it fit easily into the pan. Ooey Gooey butter cake originates in St. Louis at a German bakery where a baker got the ratios of a cake wrong and ended up with a thick mess. Now, during the Great Depression, it was important to try to use those ingredients to make a sale. So instead of throwing it away, he threw it in the oven and came out with something totally delicious, the Ooey Gooey butter cake. It became so popular that not only were they selling out of it, but people started to make versions on their own. Now, of course, they did not use a cake mix. However, cake mix has been popularized as the choice for the crust. I'm going to use a butter pecan one. I'm going to add 1 cup of chopped pecans, 1 whole stick of melted butter, 2 eggs, a little bit of vanilla extract, and optionally, you can add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of almond and a pinch of salt. Don't go too heavy on that almond extract. You don't want it to become overpowering, but it will complement with a nutty taste. Now, y'all, this should be thick. Okay, this should be thick. I'm thick like your thighs about to be once you eat this cake. You hear me? That's how thick this gonna be. Don't think you did something wrong, honey. All right. In fact, it is so thick that it is very hard to spread out. So once I plop this into my cake pan, I am then going to spray my hands with a little bit of oil just to help me press out the mixture. Okay, I find that if I do this only with a spatula, I just cannot get it as even as I'm looking for. A classic Ooey Gooey butter cake is made with a butter cake or a vanilla based cake mix. However, I really like to use a chocolate cake mix, or even a spice cake mix, and then do a pumpkin cream cheese filling on the top for fall. There are so many combinations. I've even seen an Oreo one where chocolate was used as a cake mix and then they did crushed Oreos inside the topping. The options are truly limitless for this delicious cake. I'm going to use 1 whole block of cream cheese. This is for the topping, y'all. I have softened it slightly, but honestly, it's still on the cold side. You need another stick of butter, baby. The whole stick. 2 eggs, and the original recipe calls for a little vanilla. I'm going to add a little almond extract and a heinous amount of powdered sugar. I see some recipes that literally call for a whole pound of powdered sugar. I can't do it. It's too much. Okay, even 4 cups is like ridiculous to me. So I cut mine back to 2 cups. That's the most I would do, but you're welcome to do a pound or 4 cups of powdered sugar. Okay, if you want to go there, I ain't gonna stop you. I'm gonna beat it until it's incorporated, but if there's still some lumps in the cream cheese, that's really not a big deal. Adding a whole pound of powdered sugar to the topping when there's already sugar in the base seems like a recipe for the sugar foot. Mm-hmm. So, y'all let me know how many cups of sugar is you putting in your topping. You gonna do 2 cups like me? You gonna do 4 cups? You gonna do a whole pound of powdered sugar? What you gonna do? Mm-hmm. Once I have spread out the cream cheese topping, I'm going to make sure it's nice and leveled out so it can cook evenly. How long this cake is going to take to cook is highly dependent on your oven. All right, some recipes will say 40 minutes, some will say 45. For me, I found in my oven at 350 degrees, the perfect timing is about 35 minutes. I would definitely check on it at 30 minutes. Once you see the cake is golden brown at the top and there's still a jiggle in the middle, you know that it is ready. You don't want to push it past this point because it's a gooey butter cake, right? The top should have, some give on it. I'm going to cover this in a little powdered sugar, mostly for decoration, and I'm going to let it cool completely. I find when I get greedy and I try to cut it early, the topping really oozes down in a way I don't prefer. So I like to let mine set for at least an hour to 2 hours. Hold back and you will be rewarded. Now, y'all, this cake is the perfect partner for some coffee or some tea. And I think originally it was served as a coffee cake because it does have that sweetness to it. It almost gives the texture of the top of a pound cake on the crusty part. Very delicious, very easy to make, will definitely become a family favorite. And I just want to show you guys that this is indeed gooey. The pecans are adding a crunch that complement the gooey topping. So good and rich. Let me know if you're going to make this and what flavor are you going to make. I'll see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.